Today is our Wednesday Works of Art. We're going to look at Lost Origin, specifically the Trainer Gallery, but we can't ignore those alt arts. Before we get into that, here's a nice little piece of artwork for you, that Galarian Articuno from Crown Zenith in the Galarian Articuno tin, going out to one lucky subscriber, and two 3-pack blisters going out to 2 additional subscribers, and a Pokemon Mystery prize. That's 4 prizes for lucky winners. All you got to do is like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. We are so close, folks. 2,500 subscribers, and we are running that giveaway. But where do you really enter? Yes, I want you to be a part of this video, and stay tuned for the information to come. But I'd like for you to be a part of this giveaway by going to this video here. Leave an additional comment there. That's where I'm going to be pulling the winners from. It's one concise place where everybody who's entered there has a fair shot at getting their chance to one of these prizes. Let's dive into today's video. We have Pokelector here. We've been working through the sets from Modern, going further back. Last week we covered Silver Tempest, focusing mostly on the Trainer Gallery with the sets that have them, and then the alternate arts from the main set series. So I've broken it into 2 separate things, 2 separate tiers, because I want to make sure we can kind of isolate those as they are different from one another. The Trainer Gallery is kind of its own subset within the set here, and Lost Origin on the main set series, you have all of the different full arts, the alt arts, the rainbow rares, the hyper rares, all of that stuff. So we're specifically going to be honing in on the 4 different alt arts here, which I have pulled aside over here so we can see them a little bit better. And that's the Giratina V. Now, I think it's just come to a point where this one is so recognizable, so good, so obvious that yes, this is a true artwork, and we will put it in that category. I have the Rotom V, beautiful artwork as well. Obviously, this holds up. The only thing I kind of pull back on is this Galarian Berserker. That one, I'm a little bit hesitant to say it's a true artwork. There's a lot going on with it. I like it. It's good. This interesting little stance of the Pokemon just looking up at you, this big smile, this growl, whatever's going on, I don't know. But there's a little bit of the aesthetic that kind of has me hesitant to give it that status of a true artwork, where I'd like to compare it against something like the Aerodactyl, which has a lot of these elements into it. Now, when I'm looking at artwork, I'm really being analytical about what goes into an artwork. There's certain compositional elements that make sense, and it becomes easy just for the geometry sake of it. If you're looking for those geometric shapes to start calling out to you, we see tons and tons of triangles all over this place. All right, so we can finish in our mind the end of his wings here on Aerodactyl, but it's drawing a large triangle right here through the center. We have down here these 3 Pokemon drawing a triangle. We have this drawing a triangle. They're all over the place. This little line is being drawn out here to that shade, all the way across to the Tropius. Up again here, we have a large triangle. There's all these things. And then the number 3 starts sticking out. Although there are 4 of them, there's a little grouping of 3 here. And actually, here's the lower evolution that you become subset to that. So it just pops out 3 there. We have 3 here. These 3 are 3 grouped. This one's still part of it, but separated visually. There are 3. While there's only 2 Tropius, we are set off with this palm to mirror in that, and we get a sense of 3. All right, we see the different peaks, 1, 2, 3, that really stand out, even though there is a 4th. So it's just those visual elements that constantly bombard us without even thinking about it that really sing in this photo. And when we bring that over to the Galarian Berserker, those organic numbers like 3s and 5s, odd numbers, are more considered organic numbers. The 4 coins is uncomfortable. The 2 tabs and 2 sheets of paper that are present here, there's a 3rd one there, but it's not prevalent by this tab marker. You know, all of that is kind of pulling us back, that it's just not inviting enough visually. And I know that's really detailed and really specific into the world art and compositional elements, but that's where my brain goes, and that separation is caused because of that. So long story short, on 4 cards here, I've just filled in the list because it's so much easier this way in telling you exactly what it is. They're all true artwork, except for that Galarian Berserker falls just a little bit short. Still art, for sure. And that's going to do it for the alternate arts from Lost Origin. So we can move on from that and jump into the Trainer Gallery. It's a set of 30 cards. I wanted to jump forward a little bit. I typically have my 4 different categories: true artwork, still art, neutral, and then not going to last. So I actually went ahead and for the trainer gallery, put anything that I felt was not going to last into that category preemptively. I don't think we need to waste a whole lot of time on it, and we can actually take a quick glance at what that looks like here. I have a few set aside in neutral where they're fine, but they're not really doing anything to elevate it into that artwork in comparison when we isolate to just this set of cards. Okay, that's the subset of Lost Origin in its own trainer gallery set of 30 cards. Within that grouping, I have to divide the categories into these 4 parts. I don't have to, but I've chosen to, and these 4 fall into that neutral. These cards fall into that 3rd spot of the neutral category, where only 2 go into the not going to last. It may be compositional, it may be character related, it may be a lack of colors or something. It's just not quite reaching anything that I think it's going to stand the test of time. That, wow, I remember getting that Boss's Orders from Lost Origin, that it's going to be one of the standout pieces in comparison to the others. Now, we can kind of take a look at some of these here. This is my 2nd page of them. There's a total of 30, so they couldn't fit all on one page. And most of them kind of have a similar feel, where you got the trainer, you got the Pokemon, you got the trainer, you got the Pokemon, you got the trainer, you got the Pokemon. There's a little bit happening here with some scenery and some storytelling. Is it enough? Does it take us to that level that we're looking for the true artwork? Because really, I think we're kind of split now between still artwork and a true artwork here. So we have a lot of the still art and some true artworks. I'd like to point out just the rest of these here that are in the set. We've already seen a few of them get their respective categories, but we can kind of scroll through on that Charizard, the Pikachu. What a great Charizard for such an inexpensive price. Cool little card to pick up if you are looking to get a Charizard. You know, that's a nice, interesting one to have. It's got a little bit more to it, but right away, some just jump off the page to me, and others seem to have the same thing. I know it's the trainer gallery, so we're going to have a trainer, and we're going to have their Pokemon, and it's going to be in that relationship. But as an artwork, is there another elevated sense to these images? Is there something else there, a little bit more storytelling, a little bit better composition, something more giving me a little bit more engagement in the artwork? And the answer is yes. There's a lot more going in there. I'd like to point out specifically this Orbital VMAX. I don't know anybody who's an Orbital fan or Orbital VMAX fan where they go, yeah, that's my guy, you know. But this one is fantastic. I mean, everything just getting sucked up in here like this big UFO Pokemon is doing, pulling it all away. You know, the trainer's even like, hold on a second. You know, like we weren't quite there. You got this Miltank just being pulled up in there. Like, there's so much here. The nice Pokeball there reminding us this is Pokemon. The Pokeball is iconic. Having all those little details come together is pretty cool, and I think this one really works as a true artwork. Since there's a lot of similarities of it being the Pokemon and the trainer, the extra storytelling takes it to another level, and that's why we're going to throw this one into the true artwork category. All right, now to shift gears a little bit, I think we have that repetition of some of these that just fit into that still art. They're nice. Some of them are nicer than others even, and I'd say, you know, some outweigh others, but they kind of have in that wide range being in the still art category. They're not falling down enough to be neutral completely, and they're not pushing up enough to even hit into that true artwork, in my opinion. So it just depends on you. Of course, these are all based on my own opinion, how I'm looking at the artworks, how I'm feeling about them. You might be surprised with the Arcanine going in there, but that's where I'm landing. All right, even the Charizard fits into this category for me. I know, I'm going to start ticking people off here. The Centiskorch VMAX, while interesting and it gives a little bit more, there's a little bit more scenery. We kind of have all this sky, this really grand feel, but it still falls short. There's not a whole lot else falling into that that's really elevating it for me. We're going to even take it a step further and kind of piss off more people. Sorry, we're going with the Snorlax and the still art. It is still artwork there. All right, and along with the Orbital VMAX, for whatever reason, in this particular setup, in this trainer gallery, go away ads, the Orbital V gives a little bit more of a story, and it may just be as simple as having a lot more of the scenery here, our bug catching Pokemon hanging out with their net, pulling the branch away, a little bit more engaged with the scene, and traipsing on through the brush here, and we have that, and Orbital just kind of hovering through. We got a good light of this bright highlight coming through the top of the canopy, probably. You know, it gives me a little bit more to be interested in. And I know I'm not an Orbital fan, but for whatever reason, the colors pop. The purple, which is getting close to like a magenta, all right, against the green is a good contrast. Red and green is a contrast there when it comes to paint, so that helps elevate this a little bit more, that we have this less, this more of a contrast rather than some of these that have more of a muted tone where they're between the greens and blues only, like that kind of stuff. This one's beautiful, but it's all kind of sitting in this purple blue haze, and I don't know, just can't take it to the next level for me. It's kind of uncomfortable. One I was surprised by, in my opinion here, I just really like the Parasect. Not a super fan of Parasect, but we have a lot of really good layering going here, and obviously the repetition of the different mushrooms in the scene and the Pokemon being like a large mushroom, all of that stuff kind of working for me in that regard to bring this all the way up to the true artwork there. Now, who's going to pass up on a really cool Pikachu, especially this one, the little sleepy Pikachu, just taking a break after a long journey, hanging out with your trainer and relaxing in the shade there, a little bit of sun coming through. That one is really great and definitely cute. I mean, if you like Pikachu, that's a cute one there. And for under $5, that's a pretty sweet deal there to get that Pikachu. So if you're a Pikachu collector, this one hits really well. If you like a good artwork, this one hits really well. I love the 2 Pokeballs hanging out in there, even though I would prefer 3, but then it'd be weird if there's 3 because they're Pokeballs, like you just don't need a whole bunch of them scattered out there. Maybe even 1 would do it just to keep to that odd number favor of mine. And we know it's Pikachu's Pokeball where he's just popped out and taken a nap. So, this, my opinion, me just making up the story as I go, and that's what these different artworks invoke. They invoke the story from my own mind. It's really easy to keep continuing on to this, what's going on here, where does this scene go, what stage is it in the story, and all of that kind of keeps the energy in that card. Snorlax is great, however, I end up seeing Snorlax and I go, oh, there he is, big Snorlax, he's not sleeping, he's eating, just munching on stuff. That's where it stops. My brain's not taking it any further. Like, oh, is this an important meal? No, nothing like that's happening. So it just kind of, that's where, once I reach that wall, it kind of helps me decide, is this going to be worth anything more than that in the artwork itself? Is that taking it beyond? Is that taking it to another level? I don't know. And I feel like maybe it's not. I pulled one out here, Gengar. Who wouldn't like this? My goodness, that's dangerous. This huge machete here on the Carrot wannabe. I don't know what's going on. Doing the laundry back there. We got building the campfire up front here, and Gengar's just like, yes, everybody cater to me, So I don't know what the story is, but there's a lot happening. It's got a lot of energy, and here we are to that 3, just the 3 different trainers going through here. Your eye keeps circulating, and it circulates around Gengar, who is the focal point of the entire thing. So yes, Gengar is going to reach in that top tier of a true artwork. I think it goes without saying that Pikachu is going to have a lot of credit here just for being Pikachu, but let's take the extra step. Let's be analytical and bring it to another layer here. We have a different time of day than we often see in these cards here. We have this twilight blue hour kind of time frame where the sun's gone down, the stars are just coming out. You can still make out the sky, but you can see the stars behind. You have this little bit of a mist rolling in. Maybe they're near a lake, I don't know. And you have them perched up on a rock here. Red's in the background just reading a map, looking at where they're going. I don't know what's incorporated into this document, but there's just a little bit more where there's engagement in the story. Of course, that Pikachu is going to reach a true artwork for me. The Pikachu VMAX. Now, big old Chunkachu, who doesn't love it? But, I mean, I got one sitting I got 2 sitting right back there just hanging out. And while it's a really cool version of Pikachu, having him as a VMAX form, we have the energy just floating around here, that glowing tail, everything happening. And then here we have this really low angle, looking up, very powerful stance, got the hat ready to battle. It's just like, boom, we're right in the moment. And that's why the Pikachu VMAX reaches that true artwork. I'm going to take it a little bit easier on you here and not dive too deep. It's as simple as the light. Eternatus VMAX is not a favorite of mine. Eternatus is not a favorite of mine. It's almost a confusing Pokemon to look at because you can hardly make out which way is heads, which way is tails. It's a mess of a Pokemon in most of the depictions, but this light right here is perfect. How it's coming from behind, giving an intensity to the trainer, and really isolating from the background, just that highlight across the face and the hair. We got to at least expand this one just because it is that impressive. Just this lighting right here makes the shot. Yes, we have this nice little platform here, the swirling starting to turn around with the VMAX Pokemon really engulfing the entire frame. And while I prefer a lot more scenery in some, this one just nailed it with the way the highlights are working. And really, as important as those highlights are, is the shade. All right, the shadows tell a little bit more depth They give us a little bit more intrigue, a little bit more mystery. So this Eternatus VMAX, while that seems a little odd, even in me, like I'm just trying to convince myself away from it because it almost seems weird to do it, but I really do believe this one is a true artwork. It holds up. It's got so much to offer. And that Crobat, right? That's our last one. Where are we at over here? Our Crobat we got to take a quick look at here because I was a little bit on the fence on this one. And I did think at first we were going to go into a true artwork. I like the energy. I like all of that. But I'm finding myself hitting that wall again. There's all the swirls, the motion blur happening, but I'm just hitting a wall. There's not much more here. While I really do truly like this artwork, I don't know if it reaches the elevation of true artwork, but of course it is still art and it must be considered as such. Now, you may find it odd for some of these picks. I found myself a little bit thrown back when I ended up seeing Parasect and kind of dissecting how that would go. And the artwork just continually seemed to please me, and I could dive deeper in, and I could see a little bit more, and I could explore the scene. And that's why it reached it, where my gut check feeling is like, why would any of these yellow border ones make it there? They are not the harder pulls. They're not the heavier hitting arts. At least they're not supposed to be. Well, maybe they're not supposed to be. But looking at it for art's sake, using compositional elements and just experience and how I review these things, these all just hit home. And it's actually hard to tell because there's a lot of them that kind of seem like they could get close. There's blurred lines. So I really widened my threshold on the still art category, that the ones that fall to the bottom of the still art category like this may be in competition with the ones that are towards the top for whatever reason, but they still aren't quite elevated to that true artwork, nor do they need to be pushed down as far as a neutral. And that's my list today. So I thought this would help accelerate things and speed it up, but it looks like my time's gone on just as long as ever. So maybe I'm just really wordy and chatty about this stuff. It's definitely interesting. And if you enjoy this, like the channel and comment down below. Tell me if I'm wrong. Maybe you have a disagreement. Maybe you agree with some of these. I don't know. It's a really interesting discussion, and really it's just for fun. I've gotten ripped apart before from some people telling me how off I am on my opinion of the artworks. That's fine. You can have a difference of opinion. I'm just curious, hey, why? What do you like about it? What do you not like about it? Why is it in the wrong category? Tell me why Snorlax should be a true artwork, Tell me what I'm missing, what you see in it, And I'd love that discussion because that's the most fun here. I just get a lot of that feedback from you guys and having that. And in those comments, you're going to be helping out the channel and pushing people closer to that Galarian Articuno tin from Crown Zenith, the 2 3-pack blisters from Stellar Crown, and the Pokemon Mystery Prize. Going out to 4 lucky winners. We got to hit that 2,500 subscribers, and we are close, marching right toward it. So I post 7 days a week. Make sure you hit that bell. And with that, I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.